Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a late night edition of Show Up Central Oregon. Tuesdays are one of those days that Josh Cordell joins me, and once again, Josh is joining me tonight. Hey, Josh, how are you, sir?
I am excellent. How are you doing, Matt?
I am well. It's been a long day. We did the live stream of SOS Bend and their launch, and it was good, but I have to say that it was a long day, and so I took some downtime there this afternoon, and which has been good. But yeah, it's I'm glad to have you. How are you doing, Josh? How's your day going?
I've had a great day. Really, really good day. We right now, so my clients that I work with, doing the coaching and mentoring. We're doing a lot of goal setting. That's kind of my question for everyone: is like, what do you want out of the month of May? And so that's been super enjoyable. Like, I like that conversation. I like talking about that. And so, yeah, I just had a lot of that talk today, and yeah, things are good. I love this weather. This weather makes such a difference for me.
I will have to admit that this weather does make it really nice. That is for sure. Hey, so I'm curious, Josh. We
Hey,
didn't.
Matt, we still got music playing. Do you
Oh,
still have music playing?
no, I don't. You do, but I don't. It's not in the main. It's just coming back to you. There we go. I took care of
Okay,
it.
thanks.
Come on.
I don't have
It's
music
it's
anymore.
the have you seen the what is that new, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It's actually one of those that she like is able to hear, like it's like like music that people are thinking in their heads, and so they like it's the music of their lives basically. And so I think that's what it is for you, Josh. It's now your underscore for your life basically.
Oh man, that's beautiful. If I had a superpower, it would definitely not involve music. I have just so little musical ability. I'm not selling myself short. Like, I feel like I'm good at some things, but music is not one of them. In fact, every time I joke with my family about having like a family band, they're yeah, it's just a pretty steady joke in our family because my wife and daughters are pretty musical, and I am not at all.
What would be your the music bed of your life, the music track that would underscore your life, Josh?
Oh man, that's a great one. So okay, so I kind of have a theme song to my life. Actually, is this is really like a silly thing, but you can ask my family and those who have spent a lot of time with me. They would tell you it's true. Kanon's song "Waving Flag" that was
Oh,
like I keep popping out of there. I'm trying to get myself in my frame. I'm using this new camera and I don't know what I'm doing. Um, Story of my life, but Kanon's Waving Flag. So in like 2011, I was at the state tennis tournament, and some kids had that playing in the car that I was driving, and it became like our theme song for the weekend. And we had this great weekend of tennis. We win state. The kids are all pumped, and they were like singing that song all the time. It was very like happening right then. And so I made it my ringtone on my phone, and then I ended up keeping it as my ringtone for probably like 7 years, maybe. And so it was really funny if that song ever came on somewhere. I just assumed that my phone was ringing. But yeah. So, anyways, that's definitely that would be my song for sure. How about you, Matt?
man, that is actually a really good question. I think you know what's funny. I don't really. There's a lot of them that I would say are probably good. Gosh, man, I'm gonna have to think about that. Actually, I may have to think either through the rest of the show and then get back to you at the end, or I may have to get back to you next week because I have a lot of
Okay.
songs that I really like. So it'll be interesting. It would be interesting to kind of think about, what that looks like. Yeah, for sure. So, hey, that not to. I mean, we could talk about music and
Yeah.
obviously all that. But I mean, what's been on your mind, man? I mean, obviously you're setting goals for these kids in May, but what's been on your mind? What's been going on through your head?
Oh, it's great. So I've just been thinking about it's funny that our last conversation was like those re words and like re 2020. And I've been thinking about that a lot still. So over the last week, I've kind of thought about the word reshape a lot, has been just, it keeps coming up, of where I feel like the world is like being reshaped a little bit. And so my thought is kind of like, what are we doing to reshape our own world? If the world around us is being reshaped, like how much of that are we taking on ourselves, as far as like actually taking control of things, of like, okay, if we're going to do some reshaping, what do I want my world to look like? What do I want to go back to when I'm able to? What do I not want to go back to? How do I want to make changes that I've learned through this time that are like beneficial to me? So yeah, that's kind of been where I'm at. And then I've been really into, this is weird. In fact, I don't think I've told anyone this, but I've told some people this, but I haven't been talking about it. I keep a spreadsheet, a couple of spreadsheets that are just kind of bizarre. One is like my daily activities on this spreadsheet, and I color code it, of where when I meet the goal of that day for like the amount of client meetings or the amount of exercise or things like that, then I like uh, it it gets colored a different color. And so yeah, I've been really into like, what is my spreadsheet going to look like in May? It's kind of, how nerdy is that? But my spreadsheet's looking really awesome for the start of the month. So I'm pretty stoked right now.
Do you give yourself a gold star each of those days too, Josh? I'm just
I just
curious.
pat I pat myself on the
Okay.
back. I'm not very flexible, so it's not in the middle of my back. It's more like on my shoulder. But yeah, I tell myself good job if I'm able to do well on my personal spreadsheet.
Which I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's good. I just, I'm joking with you, but
Oh no, it is. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not I'm not so I don't have a hard time admitting that I do some weird things that are like but I really enjoy it. And it's like, I love that kind of like data to look at it and be like, be able to kind of track like, was I getting stuff done? And yeah.
do you go to Emily and say, "Hey, look, honey, look at I completed this task today"?
No, she's not into it. So, um, so I learned that a while ago. She's not into the spreadsheet at all. So I just never like, nope, no one ever sees the spreadsheet but me. And I have two main spread. Well, they're all kind of like in the same documents, but it's like some financial stuff and things like that. But I have these two spreadsheets because one of them is like my daily activity, and then the other is my yearly activity. And the yearly activity is like, what books did I read this year, where did I travel, that kind of stuff. What like just things like that. Because this is really funny, I'm super challenged when it comes to like dates and seasons and things like that. I had to ask someone the other day, I got asked a question. I was in a Zoom meeting and I got asked a question, hey, when did you start this thing? And I was like, I have no idea. And I asked a friend who was in the Zoom meeting, and she was like, October of 2018, Josh. And I'm like, thank you. Like, and it was like total like personal information that like you would think I would know, but my brain just doesn't work that way for some reason.
So not dates, numbers. I mean, what's your strengths?
My strengths are I see the good in things. So I'm have you ever done Strengths Finder,
Oh
Matt? Are
yeah,
you
yeah,
familiar with
totally,
that?
absolutely, yeah.
So my strengths are positivity and develop I'm a futurist, like futuristic. I see like the potential in things and see like how things could be better. Um and responsibility, I feel really responsible for people. So I have like kind of this feeling of like, if we're friends, then if I know you, then we're friends, and if we're friends, then I'm responsible for you.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'd say those are kind of like seeing the good and really like seeing the potential in things.
Mm-hmm.
But just don't ask me when it's going to happen or when it happened, because I won't know.
So what's funny about me, and this is kind of an interesting jumping off point because this would be kind of an interesting question or an interesting topic is as guys kind of getting to know ourselves, which I think is important. Because mine are, I should probably take this again. This is the last time I took this was 2015. So I'd be curious. But it's ideation. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, ideas. Get this futuristic. So
Mm-hmm.
again, looking at that vision of the future, strategic, strategy, intellection, and input. Okay, so what do I do every day? I push buttons. Do I go up to the stratosphere and think and dream? Yes, but unfortunately, I don't probably do it enough. So it's kind of interesting how those are my strengths, and yet I have to sort of I have to be the technician, the tactician.
Right.
Well, technician more than the tactician. So yeah, it's very interesting. So
That is really interesting.
yeah,
Strategic is one of mine. Also, in fact, here I'm going to see if I can find my top five: positivity, strategic, developer, futuristic,
oh
responsibility.
yeah, that's so
Is
that fits you so well as a coach and a sort of. I mean, if you think about that from a coaching standpoint, I mean that's like dead on where you need to be. I mean
well,
that's
and what I
perfect.
thank you. And what I love about Strengths Finder, so I'm not a fan of personality
Yeah,
testing. I'm just not a fan of like putting yourself into any sort of box like that. I think that there's benefits from it, like understanding yourself. I'm a huge fan, huge believer in diving deep and getting to know yourself and really like know who you are. But I just don't, for me personally, I'm just not a like personality type of person. I just don't buy into those as much as a lot of people do. And I'm not bagging them. But what I love about Strengths Finder is it's not saying like that these are your only strengths or this is all you can do, but it's just like, here's some of like your biggest strengths. And your list could be really long. I know
yeah.
people who have so many strengths, right? So you can't put them in any sort of box. So I really like that a lot. But I think I would recommend if anyone hasn't done Strengths Finder, it's a great tool to use. And then the other thing that I think that is really beneficial in this time is just asking yourself deep questions
Hmm.
to get to know yourself better. Like just like what do I like? What do I not like? What do I like about me? What do I not like about me? What do I want? Just all of those kind of things. And yeah, and if you can't ask yourself those questions, find someone who will ask them for you. That's part of like having a coach or mentor that's been so beneficial in my life
Hmm.
is to have someone who asks you the questions that you're like, ooh, I always love, like, this is one of my just like favorite things in life is whenever I ask someone something and they say, no one's ever asked me that before. And so it's part of like my daily goal is that I'll ask someone a question where they'll say, oh, no one's ever asked me that before. And because I just love the idea of like the better we know ourselves, it just makes life so much easier.
Right. Yeah. No. That. I mean, that really does make a lot of sense because I have found that those deep reflection moments for me are actually the biggest moments of insight. I I'm a fanatic. I mean, I take a lot of these different tests, and they always seem to come back though the same. Which is like
Mhm.
okay, at least I know. Which is it's all big picture, all this other stuff that I'm like, oh well. I guess I probably wouldn't be where I am without the need for seeing a big picture at the end and then just being able to execute. But I totally agree with you, Josh, in the fact that it's the ability to have we it's corny, but we always talk about iron sharpens iron, and that's that is the reality and the fact that two individuals, whether that's two guys or a guy and their counselor. I'm not saying that the counselor is not it could be a guy, it could be a gal, but that challenging each other to really be the better versions of themselves. That's an amazing opportunity, and we're we're starting to see this opening back up a little bit, and I think that's great. But I don't think we really should be sort of complacent, I guess, more than anything else,
Mhm.
in the ability that this has given us a chance to really explore who we are.
Mhm.
Have you, Josh? Have you seen that video? The guy that's reading the story about the basically the past but it's like set in the future, and he's reading it to his son. Have you seen that yet?
Is it a recent thing? It's not
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll find it.
yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can look it up real quick because I think I probably
Hmm.
can find it. It's and we wouldn't get pulled. So let me just see if I can find it because this is
Okay.
it's one of those interesting, really kind of neat examples of what I think that. Oh, actually, I know somebody actually messaged it to me. So let me see.
Well, you're finding that with what you're saying, I think that it's so important right now. Like this kind of stop in time that we've had and just the way that everything's worked out, it's such an opportunity to dive into your identity. And it's one of the things I've been talking with a lot of young people about is if your identity was in an activity that gets taken away from you, then it's easy to be like, well, who am I now? And I think the world has had an identity crisis going for quite some time. And so to really like use this time to dive in, what's my true identity? Who am I that can't be taken away from me? Who am I that like with a quarantine or without a quarantine, with sports or without sports, with a job or without a job, who am I? What are the characteristics and traits that matter to me? And then you said it, best version of yourself. That's just I say it over and over again. It's just like my mantra, like be the best version of you. I can't be the best Matt Hand. I can't be the best, anyone else. Like I can only be me. And I can learn from other people and I can be inspired by other people and I can try to emulate some of the things that I see in them that I want to be, but I'll never be them. So I've got to be me. So this is just like an amazing opportunity to figure out who you are. But like you were just saying, you can't just go back to normal now. Like once things open up, you can't just be like, well, back to that. And I've finally got my identity back as this job is now back or this sport is now back. And that's who I am. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I actually did find it here, Josh. So I'm gonna throw this into playback, and I'm just on. If you haven't seen this, it's a really neat movie or a really neat video. So let me cue this up here, and then I'll put the audio down in your channel so you can hear it too. Here, Josh. Okay, so I think we're good, and play. Oops.
Tell me the one about the virus again, then I'll go to bed.
But my boy, you're growing weary, sleepy thoughts about your head.
Please, that one's my favourite. I promise just once more.
Okay, snuggle down, my boy, though I know you know full well. The story starts before then, in a world I once would dwell. It was a world of waste and wonder, of poverty and plenty, back before we understood why hindsight's 2020. You see, the people came up with companies to trade across all lands, but they swelled and got much bigger than we ever could have planned. We'd always had our wants, but now it got so quick. You could have anything you dreamed of in a day, and with a click. We noticed families had stopped talking. That's not to say they never spoke, but the meaning must have melted, and the work-life balance broke. And the children's eyes grew squarer, and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, they felt alone. And every day the skies grew thicker, till you couldn't see the stars. So we flew in planes to find them, while down below, we filled our cars. We'd drive around all day in circles. We'd forgotten how to run. We swapped the grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the sea with plastic, because our waste was never capped, until each day when you went fishing, you'd pull them out, already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why. It's best to not upset the lobbies. It's more convenient to die. But then in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we all were hidden, amidst the fear and all the while, the people dusted off their instincts. They remembered how to smile. They started clapping to say thank you and calling up their mums. And while the car keys gathered dust, they would look forward to their runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe, and the beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And so when we found the cure, and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we'd left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made way for the new, and every simple act of kindness was now given its due.
But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together?
Well, sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now lie down and dream of tomorrow, and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true. We now call it the Great Realization. And yes, since then there have been many. But that's the story of how it started, and why hindsight's 2020.
Because if you look at the camera, they know someone's filming it
Exactly.
because they can see
There's
you.
just the credits at the end, but
Okay.
Someone's filming it.
but
Okay,
it's
back
funny.
down.
It's a couple of
Wait,
kids.
can I
It's
just
cute.
this right now?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that great? Wow,
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that. I had seen that shared before, but I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. Yeah, really cool. And how about the Great Realization? Just another RE word.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, that's right.
Just,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really
Yeah.
cool. So here's something that makes me think of too, little off subject, but it's going to be interesting to see art as far as like that, the music that's being made, TV series, movies that are about this time. So, like that's one of the few things I've seen that's like a piece of art that's, I mean, sure, there's a lot of it coming out. I just
Right.
haven't really been like taking that kind of thing in right now because
Yeah.
I've been pretty busy with kind of like a focused area. But like I heard a song the other day that was, I think it was maybe like 21 Pilots that was like about love during quarantine kind of thing. And it's, and so it's going to be interesting. Like, I mean, I assume that TV series are going to have like their next season that like people were quarantined. Maybe, I don't know. Like, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Is there going to be movies that, because I mean, talk about a time where everyone can relate to one thing.
Yeah. Oh no, this is, and like we've talked about before. I mean, this is, the whole world is feeling this. It's not like it's just the United States. It's not just like it's, something else. The entire world is actually seeing this and feeling it. And so it is, the reference point is global at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the art will be interesting to look out for sure, Josh. I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing, and I know, oh man, I can't remember. Shoot, I was listening to a podcast this weekend. There was actually some TV show that was ironically about a pandemic.
Okay.
And they're like,
Yeah.
this is a little too close to home. And they, they had started this before even this, and it just,
Mhm.
it turned into something completely different. And so it's kind of interesting from that standpoint.
It is. That was great though. Like, I love that because I love the looking for the good in things, looking for the positive in things. And I've been really encouraged. Right before we came on here, I had a conversation with a client who, high school kid, senior, could be really bummed about what he's missing out on because he's been really serious about it. He's been like a really like, obedient to what his family wanted him to do as far as the like not being around other people and everything, and he's just done an amazing job. So he's just been home, like he runs some errands for his family, but he's a real social popular guy, and he's just hasn't partaken in hanging out with his friends and stuff. But he was so stoked when we talked today because he's been working out hard, he's been eating really well, he's been getting the most sleep in his whole life, and he's like, I feel great. I'm getting along awesome with my family. I'm on this incredible workout routine, and I'm the strongest I've ever been. And things are going really well. He's got a little online business going that he's been able to focus on and just stuff like that. And so there is, obviously, I always throw out this disclaimer. I never want to downplay the fact that people are having a very hard time right now.
Right.
So I want to always acknowledge that, like, this is a this is a difficult situation.
Yeah, it is.
But I also want to say, like, man, what an opportunity, right? What an opportunity. Like that video just really shows it. It's an opportunity to like be a different person when you come out the other side of this, and reshape things, like reshape your own world and have, you know, the great realization, like that video said.
Reimagine, realization. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of RE words, that's for sure, Josh. Hey, you got anything else, Josh? We're just about out of time, but I mean, you got anything else for us, man?
Yeah, I want to encourage everyone to set a goal for the month of May, any kind of goal. And then here's a little different way of looking at goals. Maybe people already do this, but this is a little different way I like to work with young people who are setting goals. Any goal you set is really going to be most powerful if you're just going to take care of it today, and then tomorrow you're going to take care of it tomorrow. So if it's a goal of becoming a faster runner, let's say that's just a really straightforward thing, then it's less about this time you want to try to like reach, months from now or the end of the month or something like that. It's more about, am I going for a run today? And did I run hard? And so if it's, growing your business, then it's like great to have an outcome in mind, but what am I doing about it today? Like, what's the process today? And did I follow through? And did I knock that out? And I think that right now is a great time to have some goals for things, because days just like blend into the next day. Right. It's so strange. It's just the weirdest time that I've ever experienced as far as how that goes. And so if you can have something that you feel great about today, then you go to bed, you wake up, do it again, feel great about it tomorrow. And it's just a good way to live.
What, Josh, so you don't have to share, because obviously when you share things like this, it becomes a little more real. But do you have a specific goal that you're trying to work for in May?
Yeah, so I've got a couple. I'll give you one though. One is I'm going to meet with, and when I say meet, my meetings right now are phone calls and FaceTime and that kind of thing. I'm going to meet with more clients this month than I ever have before. So that's one of my goals for this month. And so I've been doing that. And that's, again, part of like my spreadsheet. And what's great about that goal is that all that matters is today. So doesn't matter how many I plan on meeting with tomorrow or the next day or anything. How many am I going to meet with today? And I really enjoy my time with those conversations. It's just very good for me as well. And so I love that time. So that's kind of, that's the one I would share as far as very tangible. I can look at the day and say, so like for today, for example, I met with 7 clients. And that's a good, and then here's the funny thing. I'm like, what day of the week is this? Is it Tuesday? I'm like, that's a good Tuesday for me. Like seven client meetings. But it doesn't matter that it's Tuesday. And so then tomorrow it's like, okay, how many clients am I gonna meet with? And so, that's one for me. You got anything in mind, Matt? Do you have something that might be a good goal for this month?
I can honestly tell you that I've plateaued with my weight, and that's because I sit in this chair all day. And I don't, goal wise, I think I'm going to try to put some process in place that I can at least take one day off a week. Like completely off, like literally off. Whether that's Saturday, Sunday, I don't know. But I'm at a point where I just need to, I think it's important. I think it's not really a goal. I guess for me, I think it's trying to get back to walking at least 3 times a week more than anything else. I was doing like almost, I probably was doing at least 10 miles, if not more, every week. And when the COVID, it's like now it's gonna be a verb, is what it's gonna be.
And when you said that just now, you totally made me think of when Chris Farley was El Nino on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like the Weather Channel, and Chris Farley was like El Nino, big storm coming in, the hurricane.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But yeah, we need Chris Farley to play the COVID right now.
COVID.
Matt, great goal. Okay. You put those 2 things together, a day of rest every week, which that's another one of mine. That's something I haven't been doing, but Emily, my wife, and I have been talking about that. We're really going to focus in on getting a day of rest a week.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to do it in kind of a weird way because since we have our 6-year-old at home all the time, and then we have a young foster kid living with us who requires a lot of work and time, we're going to each take a day off each week. So this week I'm taking Friday off. And so no responsibilities, no nothing. And then she's going to take Saturday off.
Oh, that's a great plan.
And so, yeah. And it doesn't really work for us to be like, hey, let's take this day off together. Oh, okay. And who's going to watch the kids?
Right.
So we are doing that. We're going to try that for just a little bit. And because I'm the same boat. I haven't taken days off. And it's like, when you don't take days off, we were designed to take a day off.
Yeah, we were.
Like totally. That's how we're wired. We need a day off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, it's something to strive for. Josh, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Matt.
Have a great week. It's always just Tuesdays are always one of those things I look forward to, evenings, just to sort of wind down my day talking to you. And so it's always a pleasure, Josh. Thank you so much.
You too, Matt. Keep up the good work.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Will do. Sounds good, Josh. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So that was, again, Josh Cordell. We do this every Tuesdays. I'm tired. Now I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a long day. We had an amazing an event with SOS Bend, but it's been a tough day. Just stress. It went really well. They raised some money for some businesses, which was fantastic. If you don't know anything about it, it basically is an injection right into the businesses that need it with cash. It was great. It was a fantastic event. I had a great team, great crew supporting me. Meg Sinclair from over at Combined, she was the host, did an amazing job. I had Cullen and Delaney Dallas with me as my techs. I had Scott Brees as from Connect Central Oregon. And there's just so many people that I'm going to forget, and I apologize to all of them. I'm pretty blessed with a lot of people around me. And I encourage you to continue to reach out, continue to find those people in your lives that are there for you as well. So you know what? I'm going to sign off. Whoa, hello. I'm going to sign off for tonight. A little loud music there. And just, I encourage you guys all, with everything you're doing, just to continue to show up for Central Oregon.